Joining me now, Florida Democratic Representative Kathy Castor. She serves on the House Energy and Commerce Committee. Congresswoman, great to have you with us. Your committee passed through things that I know you do not approve of on Medicaid. We'll get to that in a second. But the House Budget Committee today failed to pass this through. Do you feel Republicans are losing the thread here? Do you think this legislation could fail?
It could die of its own weight because it is such a reckless and irresponsible proposal. The issue I hear mostly from my neighbors back home is it's all about the cost of living. And what the Republicans have put forward is a tax giveaway for billionaires that is funded by taking away health care from many of our neighbors and asking them to pay more on their electric bill. Meanwhile, they don't make up the difference and add trillions of dollars to the debt. This is not what the average American is hoping Washington will do when they send us here to solve problems.
The White House today put out a statement saying this piece of legislation must pass. And one of the reasons it highlighted was that the legislation that came out of your committee dealing with Medicaid would knock 1.4 million undocumented immigrants off Medicaid, which they said is a significant reform. Do you accept that number, 1.4 million, and would you vote for that in isolation?
You know, what we learned in our committee was that that was fake news, that if you are undocumented in America, you do not qualify for Medicaid. So this is part of their strategy to distract you with hot button issues. They say that Medicaid is rife with waste, fraud, and abuse, and there's some common ground there. But most of what they are proposing goes to the heart of the people who rely on it. Maybe a child with complex conditions, maybe your mother or father in a rehab center, or wanting to live their life at home and avoid having to go to a nursing center. The independent CBO says that almost 14 million Americans will lose health coverage under the current draft of the Republican tax giveaway.
One of the issues that was before your committee was work requirements for eligibility. And I want to read to you something that the Wall Street Journal editorialized. It said as follows, quote, Medicaid isn't for men in their 30s checking out of society and watching YouTube. It's for low-income mothers and children with medical needs. How do you respond to that?
Everything we've learned about paperwork requirements says that is just bureaucratic red tape and a way to keep people off of Medicaid. Just bury them in paperwork, shorten enrollment periods. If you are on Medicaid and you are able-bodied, you're likely working, or you're a student, you're in school, or you're taking care of someone, you're a caregiver. So that is also a distraction from what they firmly intend to continue to work on, a big tax giveaway to the wealthy and the well-connected, paid for by hardworking Americans, their health care and their electric bills.
And when the Wall Street Journal points out that the reimbursement rate for men on Medicaid is 90%, but 50% to 77% for pregnant women and the blind, is that incorrect?
Well, you're talking about apples and oranges. Yes. Remember, under the Affordable Care Act, where we outlaw discrimination for pre-existing conditions, we allow young people now to stay in their parents' policies until age 26. Part of the ACA was Medicaid expansion, and many states, about 40 states across the country, have expanded Medicaid to a larger population. That's good news. When you can cover people, keep them out of the emergency room, that has a positive effect on everyone's insurance bills. Now we need to go farther, and the answer isn't rip care away or make it more expensive. It's to continue on reforms to make sure that all Americans are covered.
And when you talk about reforms, what are the things you would be open to within Medicaid to control costs and make it more practical as a budget mechanism and for people who receive the benefits?
First of all, you do have to go tackle the improper payments. I also wrote a letter just yesterday to the Inspector General of Health and Human Services about a strange diversion of funds in Florida where Governor DeSantis was caught taking Medicaid proceeds from a settlement and sending it through political action committees. There is a lot of provider fraud out there. Those are things that I would hope we can all agree on. But the answer certainly isn't ripping that coverage away and leaving vulnerable people to fend for themselves. And then the other piece that hasn't gotten a lot of play out there is, America is in the midst of a manufacturing boom because of clean energy investments that Democrats passed a few years ago. 400,000 jobs have been created, and it's helped people afford to replace heat pumps and AC, insulate their homes, and that's also in the crosshairs of the Republicans. They are doing the bidding of the big oil and gas companies. All of the projections are now, if you take away clean energy investments and double down on oil and gas, you're going to cut jobs, and consumers are likely to pay more on their electric bills, maybe as much as $100 per month.
Congressman, I want to ask you this question before I let you go. I've covered a lot of reconciliation bills dating back to the early 1990s. I've been around a very long time. The iron rule is they always pass. They go through lots of ups and downs. They go through lots of speed bumps. Lots of people get angry. They pound the table. But ultimately, the pressure from the White House, the imperative of the majority party prevails, and these things pass. You opened this conversation saying it's possible this thing could die of its own weight. Do you still believe that?
I do, but it's up to the American people. If they also believe that they deserve a little bit of tax relief rather than billionaires and the wealthy and well-connected, they need to speak up. If they value their health care and Medicaid or under the Affordable Care Act, they need to be outspoken now too. If they don't want their electric bills to go up and they want to continue this clean energy manufacturing boom across the country. But there are a lot of powerful special interests in Washington, D.C., and I know the president has made certain promises that he wants to follow through on. But at this moment in time, people are talking about the cost of living, especially with the added expenses of the tariffs. So the Republicans really need to go back to the drawing board and not focus on the richest people in America. Focus on the hardworking Americans. They're the ones that really need the help.
Florida Democratic Representative Kathy Castor. Congresswoman, thank you so much.
Thank you, Major.